This is Target Score Weekly with Joey Slattery and Taylor Allen. Welcome into episode 6 of Target Score Weekly, the first ever pre-playoff game episode we've had on this show. I'm Joey Slattery with Taylor, Michael, Jeffrey, Jordan, Allen. Fresh off of a softball win, I assume, because as the game was running late, he decided to hit the walk-off home run, hit it over the fence, and ran all the way home right to his computer so we can launch this episode. No, that's not how it went down?
Not quite. And I feel like you have a different nickname for me every week. I'm kind of impressed here.
Hey, let's see how far I keep it going.
Yeah, I like it. But no, took the L tonight. I did go 4 for 4 from the dish.
One
of those hits was a pop fly that a guy just dropped, but that counts as a hit. I'll take it.
Count. So they don't ask how, they ask how many, Taylor.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, though, they picked us apart and took the L. But we gotta dust ourselves off here, and we'll be back. But yeah, tough L, but nice to be ending the night talking hoops with you, though. Right?
That's the best part of my day, Taylor. It's the best part of my day. You know who else took an L? The Winnipeg CEBLs last week against the Edmonton Stingers, getting stung at home. Not the way they wanted to end the season, and it really derails everything in a lot of ways. We'll get into that in just a little bit. We're 2 for 2 now. 2 in a row, big interviews on the show. Jelani Watson-Gayle joining us a little later on. Going to get the latest on him. He missed that last game. Pretty important miss there, not having him in the lineup as it proved to be. But we'll find out how he's feeling for the upcoming game here on Friday. And, of course, they will be without EJ Anasike. That is a new development. We'll get to that in just a second as well. But, this is an exciting time, Taylor. Not only did they break the record that they set in the inaugural game in the last game of the season with attendance, 8,230 people in attendance for that last game, and it looks like they're going to break that again in the playoff game. Finding out today, this was recorded, what are we today? The 2nd of August, that's Wednesday. Can't keep track of days, who cares? But that's the day we are recording, and this is the day that they said they're opening up the upper deck for the first time this season. I'm really looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and last time we spoke, actually, we predicted that, it wasn't that hot of a take, but we did say, hey, I think they're probably going to open that upper deck for that playoff game. There's going to be the demand for it. But, there's a lot of excitement in the air right now, but also a lot of kind of some disappointment and tempered expectations as well. Like you mentioned, EJ will not be playing for the Sea Bears for the rest of the season. A very cool opportunity came up for him, so good for him, but he'll be trying out for the Nigerian national team in a pre-Olympic qualifying tournament. So if you ever talked to EJ or even just followed him on social media, you know how passionate he is about his Nigerian roots. So a really cool opportunity for him. But to say that losing him is a massive blow would be an understatement. I mean, you're losing your second best scorer, rebounder, just a kind of a glue guy that kind of does a little bit of everything for this team. Popular guy in the locker room, a fan favorite. And, I was speaking to Mike Taylor earlier this week, and he said, yeah, we got depth. We built this team, to in case we do lose someone, because this is kind of what happens in a summer league, right? But, I'm not trying to be a negative Nelly, though. I just think without EJ, don't be planning a championship parade at a Portage, Maine, because I don't think they're going to make it to Vancouver at this point now.
Well, to add to that, and we talked about this the worst case scenario last week, right? And I had said this is that, well, I didn't say this part because we knew about Calgary. They've lost to Calgary both times in Calgary. They're yet to win in Calgary. But on the other hand, with Edmonton, they're yet to beat Edmonton at home. This is actually the worst possible scenario based on history for the Sea Bears because they have to beat Edmonton at home now for the first time, at the most important time. And then they have to go to Calgary if they do that and try to beat Calgary for the first time in Calgary just less than 48 hours later. It is a tall task, but it is even taller without EJ Anasike, and the timing is just unfortunate. This is something that the league does encourage. They want their guys to go and play for their national teams, and it's kind of a double-edged sword that this league is, right? I don't know if EJ Anasike is even he's probably on the radar. I don't know if he's on the list to be welcomed in, but he's played so well in Winnipeg. There's a lot of tape on him. And then Nigeria comes in and says, yeah, we want you to come on the national team. The teams tried, the Nigerian Basketball Federation and the Sea Bears tried to work it out that they can have him till the end of the season. They were able to work out till the end of the regular season, so props there in the sense that he was able to help them get to the playoffs. Huge loss for sure, but you wonder as the developments come out and you find out that they've been working, trying to figure out some sort of understanding to keep him there as long as possible. So what Mike Taylor told you, there are a lot of guys that were getting more and more playing time. We've seen more Stefan Ingo this last little bit. Shane Osiande's taken a much larger role with this team. That you have to wonder, was that part of building that depth and getting these guys in these minutes to prepare for this, knowing that it was likely that it was going to happen? I know they were disappointed that it happened, but this is, and when they say like he chose to leave, like it's a choice, but this isn't just, oh, I'm leaving the team because I want to leave the team. It's if he doesn't leave the team, he is disqualified from playing for Nigeria, right? I mean, and I think we can all understand in that sense, like if Team Canada comes calling, we want to play for Team Canada, right? And the ruling in the CEBL, there is a rule for national teams, and it's the same one as the NBA. A team can't hold a guy from going back, and then a team that is sanctioned, or sorry, a league that's sanctioned by FIBA. It's this is something that's good on the league. They're developing guys to the highest level. This is for the Olympics. This isn't just he's trying to make the team for the qualifier so he can go to the Olympics with his national team. We wish him all the best. It's tough for the Sea Bears, but it's a big test at hand. On the other hand, Jelani's back. Right, Jelani is expected to be back on Saturday. I know I said that last podcast, and that was the case, but this was them trying to rest him for this and make sure he didn't hurt himself further. But they need all hands on deck. I mean, they've been healthy all year. It was a tough blow with Jelani last week, but they can't be dealing with any other injuries between now and Friday. And from Friday to championship weekend, if they make it there, now this is a truly an all hands on deck, because I don't think you can depend on Teddy Allen. You definitely can't depend on Taylor Allen to drop 60.
Thanks a lot.
No offense. I don't think Taylor Allen's dropping
wrong.
60. Teddy might, but I don't know if you want to put all your chips in that basket, or on those cards.
Yeah. I mean, here is the glass is half full take. So EJ, believe it or not, he actually had the worst plus minus on the team in their last 4 games. Glass half full. Also, they are 0-2 against Edmonton at home, and obviously EJ started both those games. So maybe putting Simon now you have to put Simon. Now with Simon starting and getting more minutes, maybe it'll just be a different look, and they'll match up better against Edmonton, and maybe it'll work out. That's the glass is half full.
Yeah, but
here's the perspective. Is that my perspective? Absolutely not. I think they are I think they're toast. If I'm being really honest, not trying to be negative. I just don't think they can overcome, losing a guy of EJ's caliber. Like you just said, Teddy's going to have to drop basically 60, or someone like AJ Hess, or Glenn Yang, guys that have been really struggling for most of the year. These guys need to wake up at the perfect timing. Otherwise, I don't think they're getting past Edmonton. Never mind making it to Vancouver.
Well, here's the thing, though, too, right? I mean, you look at that game against Edmonton. The first half just absolutely, dominated inside. Points in the paint. It was like 26-10 for Edmonton. They were just owning up there. Brody Clark is, having a game. I think I had his stats there somewhere, but I didn't have a double-double. I think it was like 14 points, 6 boards, 5 assists. I mean, it was a team game. There were 6 guys from Edmonton in double figures. 6! Including Shane Gibson, who had 19 points. You can't have that kind of, at that point, it's so hard to zero in on where the problem is, because it's not a player, it is a system. There's something that they're doing that is eating you up. And to Winnipeg's credit, they made the adjustments in the second half, but when they made the adjustments in the paint, because the points in the paint evened out towards the end, but then it was the fast breaks, Taylor. It just seemed that every time there was, they'd make a run, like Winnipeg would make a run, and you feel like, okay, I think in a couple times they overtook the lead. But then Edmonton hits a big bucket. They get a steal. They get a fast break the other way. Like, this was something that really hurt them, like, overall, because 24-10 were the fast break points. 24-10. That's 14 more points. That's beyond the game, right? You take away even half of that, could argue it's a Winnipeg win, right? So it's Edmonton did a great job. They were losers of 2 coming in. They found the weakness. Chad Posthumous played 4 minutes, like under 5 minutes. Like, and I understand we're going with analytics, but you got to think at this point, he's got to be getting more time this time too, between him and Shane going in this game, just the way the game started in the paint. Like, is he being underutilized? I mean, there's a lot to go over here to, like, you can dissect this because it was so close, but this is a game I think even without Jelani in the lineup, they should have won that game.
Well, for those that need a reminder, if Winnipeg would have beat Edmonton last Saturday at home, they would have advanced to the quarterfinal, got to host that this Sunday, but since they lost 98-86, they now have to play Edmonton again this Friday in a playoff play-in game. Winner of that goes to Calgary, winner of that goes to Vancouver. So now, losing that game, they got to take the scenic route to Vancouver, which is not going to be easy, again, especially without EJ. But this game last Saturday, without Jelani, they were a totally different team because Glenn Yang's the only other point guard on the roster. So Teddy Allen, for lots of the second half, he's the one who's kind of, the offense is going through him and he's bringing up the ball and stuff. And yeah, he's a heck of a player, but you're not, if you're playing him as a point guard, you're not really using him to his strengths exactly.
Yeah.
And it didn't help that Glenn Yang, we've been kind of picking on this guy all year, but he was terrible. Like he had a really bad game. AJ Hess, he was terrible. He played 37 minutes. He hit 2 out of 12 threes, I think, finished with 10 points. These guys needed to step up without Jelani, and they didn't. And then to make matters even worse, Simon Hildebrand gets booted out of the game in the third quarter for getting a second personal unsportsmanlike foul.
Yeah.
Sorry. And the call for that was absolute garbage. If that's an unsportsmanlike foul, I should have been kicked out of every basketball game I played within the first 10 seconds because Simon grabbed the guy's jersey for about half a second because this guy kind of runs into him. They're like 5 feet beyond the 3-point line, like not even close to the basket or the main part of the play or anything. And Simon just kind of grabs the guy for half a second. It wasn't like a dirty play or anything.
Yeah.
And he gets called for that, and Mike Taylor challenges it, and they review it, and sorry, buddy, see you later.
I was a little shocked the review didn't go their way. I like the first one. So post game, like after that, I think it was Scott Billick who asked Mike Taylor about it and how he felt about it, and he said, the first one, it's kind of a play of a young mistake, a young player's mistake. He grabbed his jersey, and it was kind of, hey Simon, what are you doing? He didn't really like refute that one. But the second one, he said, was just a heads-up play. I can't remember who the player was on, but it was a bit of, like, he called it like a flop, right? Like, he sold the play and caught Simon in a bad situation where it sold the ref, and the ref made the call, and there wasn't enough to overturn it, right? And then he only had 2 fouls the whole game, Taylor. 2 fouls, and he's out, right? They're 2 unsportsmanlike.
There you go.
And, so, I mean, that's the stuff you got to get past, right? And I said this last week. They usually respond well. They don't often lose 2 games in a row. I think it's only happened once this year. So this is a team that when they lose, they usually come back and win. There are clearly, and this is also a team that takes things personal, right? Like, I don't think they enjoyed having a record crowd and then being run out of their own building, or sending everybody home disappointed and losing that goal of finishing first in the West. So I do expect that they're going to come out. I also think the lineups will be different, but there might be, like you've talked about this before, right? We've talked about it, in terms of the Canadian rule and, Glenn Yang having to play the point because, it's the other Canadian on the floor. But if you have to start Simon, let's say, right, in that stretch 4 position, and he's a Canadian, like, does that open up more opportunity now to put Jelani at the point position and maybe put Glenn in the shooting guard position where he's more comfortable? And then suddenly you've got a lineup that you're more, guys in their comfort zone, right? Like, this might not actually be a terrible thing. And the one thing this team has no shortage of is sets. Like this team seems to have a play for everything under the sun, and they've practiced everything. So I'm not going to count them out. I'm not going to be as
You're
definitely
too positive.
Yeah, I'm going to play optimist.
Too positive.
I'm going to play.
But
optimist.
also too, Jelani, I don't think he's 100%. Yeah, he's going to play. But I was at practice on Tuesday, and they had a 5-on-5 scrimmage on one end to close out practice, and Jelani's on the other end of the court just shooting by himself.
Yeah,
he's not wearing anything on his ankle or leg or anything, but like he wasn't fully participating. So I'll be back at practice tomorrow, so we'll see if he's doing a little more. I mean, you don't want to rush him into things too soon, but the fact that he's not practicing a couple days before the big game and missed all of last week's practices too, even if he is feeling 100%, I mean, is he really going to be at his best, he hasn't played a game in basically 2.5 weeks now, because considering
That's
he got hurt in Vancouver. So
Yeah.
and now with EJ out again, you need Jelani to be huge. He's now your second best player. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I just don't feel it's in the cards right now for this team to go on a run.
Yeah, and I think the other thing, though, is more importantly is defensively. Like, offensively, they put up enough points to win a game. I think it's the defensive end of things that have to tighten up a little bit. Like, you cannot allow that many fast breaks in a game and give up that many fast break points and expect to win the game, right? So if they can tighten things up defensively, and that's where I feel like, that's the main area where the improvements have to be made. I can live with the offensive output, and I know some guys have struggled offensively, but defensively, and this isn't a knock on Edmonton. They're a good team, but you have to beat these teams now. Like, there's no excuse. Like, this is a team, they are the bottom seed in this playoff. You cannot allow them to get that many points. What did I say? 24 fast break points. That's the game, right? So there's some easy things to clean up.
I disagree with you there, actually. Well, I think the game was the bench. Their bench scored 5 points.
Yeah. Like I said, 6 points. Yeah, 6 players, double figures, right, for Edmonton. It was balanced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a huge, exactly. And we've been saying this for weeks now, that Winnipeg, they ride their big three.
Mm-hmm.
EJ, Jelani, Teddy. And the odd game, a guy like Simon, a guy like Glenn will hit a couple shots and whatever. But this game, you're getting 5 points from your bench.
Yeah.
You're not going on a playoff run with that production. And Edmonton, I mean, they play kind of small ball, right? That's why Chad doesn't play very many minutes against them. So now you think, okay, EJ's out. Now we're gonna see more Chad, and he's, he can maybe help soften that blow, but he can't really, because this is actually a terrible matchup for Chad. So for me, I
don't know if it is. Like, that's the thing. Like, in that first half, like, they had so many opportunities inside. Like, yeah, like Shane had 5 blocks. Shane Oceani had 5 blocks. He played stellar. Like, that was the best game I've seen him play as a Sea Bear, right? And even on the offensive end, he had that huge putback. He was an energy guy. But if you can get that output from him and keep that rim protection when he's off, like, and again, Stefan Ingo, another guy who's like, he's there for his defensive abilities. He's got long arms. He's a rim protector. Like, these are guys that have to step in and make it hard and physical on the guys coming inside, which they did not do very well in the first half, particularly of that game. And like you said, they're not getting the bench production, right? Like, they've not gotten that for a while. They're very big on the big three. EJ's gone. So if you can't create, like, if AJ Hess isn't going to start shooting, 50% from 3-point line suddenly, or from the 3-point line suddenly, and you're not getting the output from the bench, then you have to be defensively perfect. You have to make sure that every basket they get is earned. And that was my problem with the game. Like, the game against Edmonton, is a lot of those were earned at the Winnipeg offensive end, right? Like, turnovers, and then they're going the other way. And if you can clean that up, you give yourself a chance. But defensively, you have to keep them low. You cannot let them get to 80, 90 points and expect to win a shootout. Not without EJ in the lineup.
Going back to the bench for a second, Tyler Sagal, for example, played 10 minutes. Here's his stat line: 0 points, 1 rebound, 0 assists, 1 turnover, and yet somehow he actually finished +6, which is hilarious. But there you go.
On the sports guy, eh?
Well, if you're playing, I don't care who you are. If you're playing 10 minutes a game, man, you got to add something.
Totally.
But speaking to your defensive point, though, AJ Hess, that's a guy we've talked about his shooting for the entirety of this the life of this podcast, basically 6 weeks now, whatever it's been. And I was talking to someone on the Sea Bears, affiliated with the Sea Bears, and I was saying, now with EJ out, you guys need AJ to get going. Like, this guy's got to start hitting some shots, or you guys are toast. And they said, you know what? Yeah, has he shot the ball well this year? No, he hasn't. But to his credit, what he has done really well for us is play defense. We knew he's a good defender, but we didn't think he'd be this good of a perimeter defender for us, and he's really stepped up in that regard. So he has added things to the team. And yeah, I think when you go back and watch some games, that's probably pretty fair. He does hustle hard on defense, and he looks pretty good. But not to beat a dead horse, but 3 for 14, 2 for 12 from 3. He's playing 37 minutes. he needs to be the next guy up in that big three. You talk about next man up. That's what everyone at the CEBL has been saying all week when I was at practice. Well, it's all about the next man up mentality. Well, you need a new big three, and it's got to be Teddy, Jelani, and I think it's got to be AJ Hess as well. You know, Shane Ossiende and stuff, they're playing well, but it's got to be AJ. He's got to be the guy to take the next step, or I think they're cooked.
Yeah, and the thing is like, you know, even from Shane, like I'm not expecting Shane Ossiende or, you know, or Chad or Stefan or even Simon. Like I'm not expecting these guys to go off for 20, 25 points, but you do need to get them active in the post in order to open up those shots. Like, so that's the other thing too, is you do have to get them more involved offensively, not just for the rebounding purposes. I think you have to mix up the sets a little bit, but those guys have to start hitting shots. But even defensively, like, you know, as I go back to that, like, and we've talked about it in text, right? Like there's times where I've been tough on AJ, where I've been tough on Glenn, where there seems to be no communication. Like they miss their help side defense can lag at times as they get tired, and that's one thing that can screw them over every now and again. That leads to very easy shots, whether it's open 3-pointers or even worse, you know, underneath the bucket. So it's like I say, they have to be crisp, they have to be clean, they can't be getting foul trouble. They don't have, like, the bench is getting thin now, right? I mean, look what happened to Simon. If this happens to Simon this week, you are absolutely toast, because now you're asking a guard to step in and guard some big guys, and that's just asking for trouble, right? So yeah, it wasn't the best game for Winnipeg, that's for sure. But this is their last chance. They got that one loss out of the way. Maybe it's a chip on the shoulder. It depends on how they come back and, you know, like how they respond to this. But now you don't have that chance anymore. You have to go win in front of a record crowd on Friday, which out of the two scenarios is the likely one, in my opinion. Can you now win that game, then go to Calgary, and then win in Calgary? That to me is the tough one, because it's a quick turnaround. You're on the road, you got to travel, and then if they get through that game, totally different conversation when we get to championship weekend. But I don't even want to talk about that, Taylor, because I don't think it's a shoo-in that they get there by any stretch. This is a really tough Edmonton team. They are the bottom seed, but this is a good Western Conference. They have to beat a really good team, and then they have to go back and beat another really good team that is rested and has not moved and is staying at home. The one place you have not been able to win despite having two opportunities. So this is huge. We can't talk about championship weekend. Not now. This is very much this game. You can't even look to Calgary. You have to look at Edmonton. You cannot look ahead at all. You have to beat Edmonton. You've not done it at home in, you know, the 1 year, but in the entirety of your existence. You've not beat them at home. So you have to take care of that first. What makes it really hard to do this podcast on a weekly basis, because, you know, I want to get into Calgary, but I can't. Like this game means too much in Edmonton, and they just got to take care of business at home.
Yeah, I said my piece. Like I said, I can't see them going on a run. Maybe squeaking one out against Edmonton, maybe. But I think best case scenario, and I'm not trying to be a jerk, I'm not trying to be negative, I'm just being realistic here. I think best case scenario, they squeak one out past Edmonton, they go to Calgary, and they probably get spanked. Is what I think. Yeah. But I mean, hey, let's keep in mind, you know, first episode, second episode, I did say I thought this team was going to the final, so I haven't been a negative Nelly this whole time. But yeah, just with the hand that they've currently been dealt, Jelani might not be 100%. No EJ. Bench is on a milk carton. They're nowhere to be seen. I just think a win Friday is as far as they're going to go. But we'll see.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Jelani, he joins the show. We had a good interview with him a little bit earlier on. Talked a lot about his experience here and what it's like being a guy from Britain, having to move away from home at a pretty young age, and how his journey's brought him here to Winnipeg. I won't spoil it. Here's Jelani Watson-Gayle joining Target Score Weekly. Thank you so much for taking the time again, Jelani. Really appreciate you making time for us here on Target Score Weekly.
Oh, definitely. Thank you guys for having me.
All right, cut to the chase. You weren't in the game, nursing an injury last game, the final game of the year. Everybody's wondering, are you going to be ready to play on Friday night for the first playoff game, CEBL playoff game in Winnipeg history?
Well, yeah, most definitely. Had a practice. Was able to get up and down a little bit, and yeah, I'm feeling good.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you, just not being able, to take it in without being able to play? I mean, I know it's not a spot you want to be in as a player, but, taking in the atmosphere without having to worry about stepping on the court, what was that like for you going through that?
No, the atmosphere was great. I think I kind of like not being able to play. You get to take it in a little bit more. It was good. Definitely missed being out there.
Jelani, I think the other big question heading into this game, other than your health, of course, is the fact that you guys lost a very important piece to the puzzle, EJ Anosike. I think there's some people out, if we're being honest, Jelani, I think there's some people out there that, see EJ out of the picture and they're writing this team off. What would your response be to that? Can this team still compete for a championship in your mind?
Yeah, I believe we can. Stuff like this happens. Every team faces some sort of adversity, and I guess this is some adversity for us. And in the game of sports, you just find a way, and it's a team sport for a reason. It's just next man up mentality.
Obviously, it's a very exciting opportunity for him, and you guys are happy for him and whatnot. But did you guys get a chance to really say goodbye to him? Did he kind of like a message to you guys before he left, kind of thing? Because it all seemed like it kind of happened pretty sudden, at least to the outside eye.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, he spoke to us. We all was able to spend some time with him before he left. Because we all kind of bonded really well together. Yeah, we all got together and just wished him the best of his future endeavors with the pre-Olympic qualifiers.
Going into, this game, it's a repeat now. I mean, it's a rematch with the Stingers, who you've not beat at home. It's the only team to beat you twice in Winnipeg, and there haven't been a lot of losses on home court. What's it been about this team in Edmonton that's, made them so hard to play, particularly at home?
No, Edmonton's a very good team. Even when we played them at their home place, they got up on us about double digits quite fast. They're a good team that gets out in transition, well coached. They share the ball well and they play good basketball. I think it's also just at home transition defense has really hurt. That should be a key game this Friday.
Jelani, not getting the top spot. I know you didn't play last game. You had nothing to do with that result, but not getting the top spot in the West and now having to take the long road to championship weekend in Vancouver. How do you think this team has handled that?
I mean, yeah, it was disappointing that we couldn't get the top spot, but now we just have to focus on the journey now. Like you said, whether this journey's a bit longer or not. Well, it's just focusing on one game at a time. If we do that, we should get.
This opportunity for you, I know this league is a little bit unique in the sense that, there's the Canadian rule and having to have two players on the court at all times and things like that. But I mean, you really carved out your niche in this, this league as the, probably the front runner. At least you're in the conversation for Sixth Man of the Year. Your shooting touch has been on fire. I mean, you're shooting like a shade under 50% this year. What has this opportunity allowed for you, like maybe that you found about yourself or in terms of your development? Where did you see the value in this season for yourself personally?
Well, no, I kind of, coming into this, I kind of saw it as a good opportunity just to learn, work on my game, and kind of just prepare me for the next level. The coaches had a lot of confidence in me from the start. And just being able to have your coaches have that much confidence in you kind of like leaves you no choice but to have confidence in yourself. In terms of shooting, yeah, I've shot the ball pretty well. This is probably like the best I have so far. But yeah, I'm just always looking for ways to improve and ways to get better every game and every day.
Jelani, when you first signed with Winnipeg, did you know the Elam? This sounds like a dumb question, but did you know the Elam ending
target
rule?
score? Target score.
Sorry, gotta plug the pod name whenever we can, because yeah, it seemed like from the first game. I mean, you're one of the many guys in the league that really thrive. When that clock turns off and there's next 9 points to that target score wins. Did you know about that rule when you first signed? What was your initial reaction to it, and how much have you enjoyed it? Because again, you seem to be really thriving in that situation.
I'm going to be honest, I didn't really know much about the CEBL when I signed. I kind of just only knew how long the season was and that it was a summer season. So that when I got here and saw that we had the target score, it was something that I haven't experienced before. So I was looking forward to it. And I think it makes the game more exciting. It's kind of like two games. You have the game before target score, and then you have a whole different game in target score, which kind of shows like in some of the games this season where we've been leading big in regular time, and come target score time, the other teams picked up their momentum and we've kind of struggled. So now it's exciting, and I actually really enjoy it.
I was always curious about this. Sorry, the going into the target score. Like, there's always a winning shot, right? Like, you can't play out the clock in this league. Is there anything that you learn in terms of playing in that? You know, when they say the clutch gene, like, you know, like someone is clutch. Do you find any like development in that sense? Because every game, someone has to step up and knock down that shot or knock down the 9 points to win the game.
What I've learned about that is just in target score, you have to really, shot selection is key. Any bad shots could lead to easy baskets for the other team, and it's also just valuing possessions. So like every game, someone different has stepped up, and it just shows to just you need to play with confidence and just shoot with confidence. And if you're gonna take a shot, you got to shoot it confidently, which I feel like our team's done this year.
Jelani, after the first game of the season where you right away made a name for yourself with the Sea Bears, I was speaking with you and you were telling me how your season ended with the Bristol Flyers, and that one of those last games in the playoffs, and how you were really disappointed with your performance. Can you just maybe take us through that, what happened, and how you kind of use that as motivation going into the summer for your game?
Okay, so so this past season we got to the semi-finals of the playoffs, and we were playing against a good team, Leicester Riders. Got a few players in this league actually, and I didn't play well. I had 0 points, 7 assists or something. But like the biggest thing that I took away is I was kind of playing quite hesitant, second guessing decisions that I never normally do, and I was quite just upset with myself at that. So I kind of just made a promise to myself to kind of never do that again, and just play with confidence and just live with the outcome of my decisions.
Now, you before this, had you ever been to Canada? Is this your first Canadian experience?
Yeah, this is my first time in Canada. Yeah.
So, what was it like coming to? I know you in basketball particularly, you're playing all over the world, but coming over from the UK to play here in Canada, Winnipeg particularly. How much did you know about the city, and what was your? I guess now that you've been here for a couple of months, what's been the experience?
So initially, I didn't really know anything about it. I remember when I signed, my mum was asking me like a lot of questions, like how's the weather, where is it, and stuff. And I'm like, Mum, I have no clue. Kind of like checked the weather like a few days before I packed my bags and stuff. So like, I don't think I really came here with any like expectations per se. But since I've been here, it's been great, man. It's been great since the first game. Love and support that the city gives us, and just being able to just travel around and see different parts of Canada. It's been great.
Did it scare you? What's something? Oh. Sorry, Joey. I was just going to say, what's something kind of weird or different that maybe we do here in Winnipeg that you've kind of noticed in your summer here in town? Is there anything that kind of jumps out?
You said weird or different?
Yeah, something kind of weird or different, whether it's something the people do or something at the grocery store or at the restaurant or anything kind of like that. Anything kind of jump out at you? Any kind of cultural differences, I guess, in that and something like that?
Nothing really comes to mind right now. You might have to come back with that one later.
Okay, fair enough. Maybe that's a good thing. There's something that weird or different about us. There you go.
I wanted to ask, though, when your mom was asking you all these questions, like, did it scare you that there was a polar bear as the logo? And she's like, what's the weather like? I don't know, but our logo is a polar bear, so maybe I'm playing in an igloo. I have no idea.
No, I didn't. I wouldn't say it scared me. I don't think I really put that much thought into it. I knew it was the summer, though. Can't be too cold in this.
Never know, though. Never know.
Yeah, you could.
What's that like, though, Jelani, for a basketball player? I mean, you guys are, like, you're going to Brussels after this, correct?
Yeah, correct.
So, I mean, for you guys are playing now all year. You're playing in a summer league, and I know you and I had talked, the other day before the game, and you were talking about, it's just been ongoing from your last season into this season, and then you're rolling into another season without really having an off season. How difficult is it to maintain your your fitness and even just your performance level. Because not only are you playing year round, I mean, you're playing in different time zones. Even here alone in Canada, like you're playing what 3-4 different time zones from from Winnipeg. How difficult is that aspect that we might not think about, as people that watch the game?
It's definitely tough mentally, but it's just like I would say, like how you stay on top of it is just consistency. That's just consistency in your daily habits, how you approach practice, uh, how you approach your workouts. That helps big time. It also helps just having good support from everyone around, from the city, from the staff, from your teammates. But no, it's definitely tough, especially when it gets like towards the end of the season. You can kind of feel yourself like missing home a little bit, but you kind of just have to stay focused and just kind of just take it one day at a time.
Are you going to have much of a break before you go to Brussels, or what's kind of the
Yeah,
like
not,
when do you have to go over there? When does that season start for you?
yeah, not much. It's pretty much like right afterwards.
That's
Is that
crazy.
Yeah,
so? Kind of touching on Joey's last question, but I mean, like, how do you guys manage that? I mean, you're trying to win this, and you're kind of a perfect example because you're coming off an injury, and also
yeah,
you want to end this summer, with a championship and end things the right way. But then also at the same time, I mean, you have somewhere else you got to be after this, right? Like you got to take care of your body and stuff for that too. So is it kind of hard, not
yeah,
juggling the two, but like you got to think about both things, right?
yeah, 100%. You don't want to think too far ahead though, and you don't want to just like. So personally, I just try and take care of my body. So that's like doing your, like I said, your daily habits, the stretching, foam rolling, mobility, the weight room, like all that stuff adds up. You kind of just have to stay on top of that. I think you have to kind of stay on top of that even more, knowing that you're going into another season, and just like making sure you get them, like you're eating right and you're getting the amount of sleep. Because you have to really look after your body.
And you guys seem like a really tight knit team, and not just from a player standpoint and playing on the court, but I can see this easily becoming almost like an internship in the sense that, you're showing up for a couple of months. How do you form these relationships, not only with teammates, but coaches, support staff? Because these guys work together all year, like the Sea Bears staff. But you guys are coming in, and then almost as soon as you get in, it feels like you build these relationships with your teammates, the community, and then you're gone. But how difficult is that, and how much does I guess winning play a part where you guys are able to have fun and kind of find that cohesiveness?
Yeah. So I think it's like, as a team, from the teammates' perspective, when you're all working towards a similar goal, and you guys are going through things together, you're naturally going to make those relationships. Like all the time we spend in the gym together, all the time we spend traveling together, you're just naturally and organically going to make those relationships. In terms of like it being tough, just leaving and stuff, I think you kind of get used to it. It's like me personally, I left England when I was 16 and I moved to America. So like to me, like getting up and leaving is something that I'm kind of used to now. So like in terms of difficulty, sometimes it can be difficult, but I think you more so just get used to it. But I think also with like social media playing a part, it's kind of good because you can still interact with those people and like keep up with them. Like I talk to people back home. I talk to people like in every single state that I was in America. Guys that I played AAU with, college with. So I'm still into contact with them. So I think that definitely plays a big part.
Jelani, you signed with Winnipeg, and you said you didn't know too much about the league and the city when you signed. And then you get to the training camp late, I believe. Did you even have any expectations for the summer? Did you really have any idea what you're getting yourself into? I think lots of people were surprised to see, how quickly this team came together and find immediate success. But for you, like, you just kind of go into this whole thing kind of blind in a way, or what were you really expecting from your summer here?
So I spoke with Coach Mike. He kind of gave me the rundown of the situation. And I kind of just went in with the mindset of I just want to use this opportunity to just get better, work on my game, also just make connections, which I have, and made some good relationships. But yeah, I kind of just, the only expectation was to try and just use all my resources to better myself and my game. And yeah.
How excited are you for Friday? I mean, this team continues to break attendance records
Yeah.
8,200 people for the finale. Full lower bowl. The energy in there was great, and we learned today that the upper bowl is now being opened for this Friday game. So who knows how many people are going to be there when it's all said and done. But, the playoffs aside and the championship aside, this will be your last game in Winnipeg this season. Just how much are you guys looking forward to that? And what kind of a difference does that make when you have such a big crowd that they can't contain it? They keep having to open more seats.
Personally, I'm pumped. I think me sitting out of the game on Saturday kind of just made me more excited just to see the fans and just to feel the whole love of the city and just the excitement behind it. And like I still remember the first game, and now to think how quickly it's come to the last game, it's just exciting. We just want to put on a good show for the fans and just leave with a win, give them a good memory to finish off this season.
Do you personally have a favorite memory from this season so far?
Yeah, I would say the Niagara game at home, and that's not just because I hit the game when it was sick. We was down 17 in the third quarter, and our team I saw a look in everyone's eye, and we were just firing, like all on the same cylinders, just firing, and we just kept chipping away, and we ended up winning the game. And I just remember being in the gym, the crowd was just nuts. They was going insane, and as he was going on our run, I could just hear them getting louder and louder and louder. It was just, I would definitely say the Niagara game was my best memory.
Well, that might be eclipsed this week. I know, 'cause especially after losing Edmonton twice, fans are going to go off if Winnipeg pulls off the win and heads to Calgary with a chance to go to championship weekend. Also, you're wearing a really nice shirt, Jelani. That's the JWG. I know you just launched a new line. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I like, this is my logo, JWG. My name obviously Jelani Watson-Gayle, and also stands for just work and grind. So yeah, that's my new brand that I'm starting. And it's just using this brand to kind of interact with supporters and fans, also just to give back. Visions I've got for it is obviously we're going to sell some merchandise, but also putting on some camps and giveaways and stuff, just to just give back to the community and just inspire the next generation.
Now, this is, there's EJ had a line to help with his CNE Foundation and things like that. There's been a few partnerships. I even saw on Instagram some new T-shirts coming out, vintage player shirts. I think Chad has one and Glenn and things like that. But it seems that this has been a nice opportunity for a lot of the players to kind of build on their brands as well. How much has this experience being in Winnipeg and having this kind of exposure allowed you to kind of do that? What does it feel like as an athlete when you're able to kind of build on your brand and have it so well received, especially you're not from here, right? These are people that, look up to you as a basketball player, have, treated you guys and look up to you guys as stars, and, they want to be a part of your brand. What does that mean to you as an athlete, especially going back to what we talked about earlier, where you're bouncing all over the world?
Yeah, it's great. Just to receive that support from everybody. And it's I think sometimes as a basketball player, you're so focused on your game and your performance that you can kind of take that stuff for granted and not really acknowledge that. And it's just been great. I've been around some good teammates who've worked on their own brands, which has kind of inspired me to do the same. And just interacting with fans that are helping us push our brand. For instance, this T-shirt partnered with S1E6. He sorted me out with some stuff and just helping me out. So it's really good. I'm really learning a lot, and it's great.
Sorry, go ahead, Taylor.
I was going to say, we like to end our podcast with guests with a little fun segment called Rapid Fire. But before we get into that, though, Jelani, I did have one more question for you, and Joey might as well. But I wanted to ask you, there's been people talking about the Sixth Man of the Year award and throwing your name around. You're obviously a contender for that. What would that mean to you, especially, being early on in your pro career?
It would be great to receive that award. I kind of go into seasons not really striving for awards. I kind of just try to focus on getting better and playing at a high level consistently. And I feel like when you do that and focus on that, rewards will come. But no, it'll definitely be great if I get that award. But I think we'll just more so focus on winning these games coming up.
All right. Well, as Taylor said, Jelani, we like to end with the rapid fire, so we're going to put you at the proverbial 3-point line, and you're going to hit your shots as quickly as possible. We're going to ask a few questions. Simple. You just answer whatever comes to your mind as quickly as possible, and we're going to learn a little bit more about Jelani Watson-Gayle. You ready for this?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, Taylor, I will let you start. I started last week with Chad. You can take the honors and take the first shot.
Well, since you are from England, I do have to ask, who's your favorite? I'll say football. I'll say the right word. Who's your favorite football player of all time, and who's your favorite club? Or what is your favorite club?
All time. I used to like Nanny, and I used to support Manchester United.
Okay. What do you miss most about home?
My mom's cooking.
What are your favorite basketball shoes to wear?
Kobe Sixers.
Okay. What will you miss most about Canada or Winnipeg?
Oh, home games, the fans. And the weather.
Yeah. I say that in the summer, not the winter so much.
Yeah, no kidding. If you had to describe head coach Mike Taylor in one word, what word would you use?
Interesting.
Ooh, okay.
That's an interesting word.
We might have to ask a couple of follow-up questions after this. These are getting interesting. Okay, you're stuck on a deserted island. What Sea Bears teammate would you want as your survivor teammate?
Shane.
Okay, and why?
Me and Shane have a good time, man. It'd be funny. I think you need to have a good time when you're trying to survive.
I like it.
You've been in North America for a couple of years now. What's your favorite North American snack or maybe fast food place that you don't have back home?
Ooh. When I first got here, actually, I like the Jolly Rancher Misfits, the one that like half
Gummies, yes, my favorite.
Oh,
Yep.
Nice. Okay.
Okay. Now, he asked you about football. Favorite, we'll go British or European basketball player of all time.
Full time. Ooh. Ooh, that's a tough one. Can you come back to that one?
Okay.
And your older brother Micah, he played junior college basketball in Kansas, right?
Yeah.
If you guys were to play a game up to 11 right now, 1-on-1, what's the score?
What's the score now? I'm definitely winning. I'll say me 11. I'll give him 5 or 6. Give him 5.
That's pretty generous. Wow.
Generous,
Okay.
yeah.
No,
Generous.
He can still move a little bit, but I don't think his conditioning's there.
Little brotherly love and a little brotherly rib. I like it. You talked about mom's cooking. I don't know if she cooks either of these, but fish and chips or bangers and mash?
My mom doesn't really cook that, but I'll go fish and chips for sure.
Okay. Do you have another one, Taylor?
No, I think that's all. Yeah,
Those
are good. But I have to ask the follow up though. I mean, it's interesting from Mike Taylor. I mean, you gotta elaborate on that one. Why'd you use that word for him?
Coach he's just an interesting character. He's funny. He's kind of witty a little bit, but then he knows when to be serious. And yeah, he's there for a good time as well. So I've enjoyed being coached by him.
And I did ask this, it wasn't a rapid fire question, but I asked Chad, if you were to make a comparison, or if you had to compare him to a fictional coach, would he be closer to Ted Lasso or Coach Carter?
Ted Lasso, probably. Yeah,
That's what.
Probably not Coach Carter.
And did you figure out the all-time British or European basketball player?
No.
It's okay. That's okay. 9 for 10, Jelani. That was pretty good. And we got some follow-ups, so we're happy with that. That will conclude our rapid fire. But Jelani, thank you so much for taking the time, man. This has been so much fun. It's been fun to get to know you over the season. You guys have done awesome this year, being part of the community and giving this city something to be excited about. Clearly, there was a hunger for basketball, and I think you guys might have seen that too. And I hope that you enjoyed your time here. But again, all the best on Friday as you guys try to make it the championship weekend.
Thank you.
That was a great chat with CEBL's point guard Jelani Watson-Gayle, who likes Jolly Ranchers misfits like I do, and thinks Mike Taylor's interesting.
Yeah, that was an interesting word choice for that one, but I had to ask him to elaborate on that one. But yeah, after he explained it a little more, that made a little more sense. But I have to be honest, though, that the Jolly Ranchers that he mentioned, and you were like, oh yeah, I love those too. I have no idea what you guys are talking about. Like, I know what a Jolly Rancher is, but what do you mean the twist ones or
so they're
whatever?
Like so it's like half and half. So they're called misfits. So it's like if you like the pink Jolly Rancher, it's mixed with the blue Jolly Rancher. And actually, hold on, Taylor, Michael, Jordan, Jeffrey Allen.
No way. For those that are just listening, Joey has gone up. I think he's digging through the pantry right now. Don't tell me you have some.
Allow me to show you. We just happen to have some here. I think this is the Misfits one. So, they're gummies.
Oh.
But there are two flavors in one.
Wow.
This
I've never seen
segment
those before.
Has been brought to you by Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah, if they don't
It hasn't.
sponsor
I
us
wish it was.
after, if they don't sponsor us after this plug, what the heck?
I want some of that Jolly Rancher money, man. Is that too much to
Yeah.
ask?
Even just a couple bags a month, that's enough for me to plug one.
What's actually this guy? Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen those before.
Sorry, man. Now
I
I'm
stay away
stuck.
from the candy aisle. I stay away because if I go down there, I'll pick up something.
You're
So I
also
just
way
walk
more
right
fit
past
than
it.
I am. I'm
Nah,
past that,
I
man.
wouldn't go that far.
Once you hit 35, all caution to the wind, man.
Yeah.
Live your life. My
At
fitness
30, I'm
is
already
like
feeling that.
maybe going for a swim. Oh, I thought I was feeling it then too, but every year it gets worse, man. I'm telling you. But yeah, no, Jolly
Perfect.
Ranchers, man. You want to give us some money? Give us some of that Jolly Rancher money. We're all about it. Yeah, no, great interview with him. Also want to say, last podcast I said people want to come out say hi that listen to the podcast. Actually had a few. My mistake. Didn't get names though. But yeah, there's one woman that came down and said she listened to the podcast. She had her family up from California watching the game. They were there for the record-setting 8,200 in attendance. Yeah, it's been getting a lot of attention, so I'm liking to see it, and I like that people are coming out. Jeff Hamilton, your colleague, the Free Press very own, huge fan of the podcast, as he mentioned on Winnipeg Sports Talk. As I made my debut on there this week too, talked a little Sea Bears with them. They gave us a nice little plug, so thank you to our friends at Winnipeg Sports Talk. But yeah, nice to see our little community growing here. Oh, and the Sea Bears fan page on Facebook I randomly came across not too long ago. Awesome community there. They have like 1,000, I think their community's at now.
Oh, wow.
Sea Bears fan page or fan club. If you go to there, you'll see it. It's the first one that comes up if you search it on Facebook. They've been showing us a lot of love too. So shout out to all you guys that have come on and listened on and joined our little community here too. Really happy to have everybody aboard.
And I got an email from a listener today, actually. This listener also happens to be the owner of the team, David Asper. He sent me a note saying, hey, I've been listening to your episodes. Great job. Appreciate the coverage, blah, blah, blah. And I emailed him back saying, oh, thanks. I appreciate the note. We'll have to have you on as a guest sometime soon. And then David responds back saying, and by the way, and both of you, and he says in capital letters, both of you were wrong about what our record was going to be this year. Which, to be fair, he's totally right. I would have rubbed it in my face too if I was him, because I didn't foresee this team being a contender right off the hop, and sure enough, they are. So
well, do you remember what you said?
Well, that's kind of the thing. So episode 1, we did make predictions, but this was already like midway through the year when they were already established.
I think they were
as a good
7-3
team.
at that time. I'm pretty sure. I think they had 7 wins, 3 losses. But
I've said numerous times throughout these past couple weeks how I thought at the beginning of the year that I thought this team was not going to be very good. So I think he's given it to me over that take. Which
because I think I had them higher. I think I had them, if I recall correctly. I think I went with the safe bet. I went with the same record, 7-3 in the second half, which would be 14-6, and they finished 12-8. So yeah, we were both wrong. You called this out,
Yeah,
David Asper. You got us good, man. But thanks for listening. Really do appreciate you having.
Absolutely.
We'd love to.
We will have
him
him on. Yeah, that'd be fun. That'd be
The
great,
Mark Cuban of the CEBL, David Asper himself. That would be great. But no, seriously, we love having you guys all on board, and surely all of you, if not most of you, are going to be at Friday's game. I don't know if you saw what I posted the other day. There was my little buddy Nico broke his arm. He has basketball tryouts coming up in 2 weeks, but making the most of a bad situation. He got a Sea Bears cast. It's pretty cool.
That was a sick cast.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Really
so
well done.
Shout out to whoever designed Nico's cast, and Nico and his little brother. Hope they do well in their basketball tryouts coming out in a couple of weeks. But yeah, they're going to the game, and it's going to be a big one, Taylor. We mentioned earlier in the show, it's a last game, 8,200. That was without the upper bowl. They sold the lower bowl out, and now they've opened 4 sections, last I checked, for the upper bowl. This is going to be unreal, this atmosphere. I am looking so much forward to it.
Yeah, and who knows, they might even start opening up some more sections if tickets start selling really well tonight and tomorrow and whatnot. So who knows? We'll see how much of the place is actually open for seating. But yeah, it's like it's become the norm. It's like, oh, another game, another record. Like, whoop-de-doo. It's not even, almost that big of a story anymore because it just keeps happening and happening. Like, Winnipeg has the 6th the highest attendances in league history already, which is insane. So, yeah, it's gonna be rocking Friday for sure. I'm sure obviously fans are disappointed. It's not a quarterfinal game; it's a play-in game. But either way, Friday night. If you don't have your ticket for that, I mean,
I actually think that's a blessing in disguise. Someone told me, I didn't even realize this is a long weekend coming up. And so
they get
the Friday night going into a long weekend. I think if it were a normal weekend, the Sunday would have been just as good. But yeah, you got the holiday Monday, so I don't know how that would have affected. So I'm wondering in ways if that's a blessing in disguise that the last home game's on a Friday heading into a long weekend as opposed to the middle of a long weekend on the Sunday. So I'm interested. It's hard to say because we don't see the other side of it, but I think that might have been something that's going to help out attendance a little bit. Not that they need it. I mean, at the end of the day, we found out that whatever cottage country people are here, they showed out the last Sunday at 2:00 game they had. So, yeah, I think they're going to be okay either way. But yeah, it's going to be awesome. They're going to need it. As we said, Edmonton, man, tough opponent. Really gave them the shellacking last game. And if they do it again, that will be the end of the season. Not only the last home game, but the last game of the year. So.
But whether it's the end of the season or not, Target Score Weekly we're not going anywhere. We're
too much fun, man.
Yeah, maybe not every week we'll have a show, but we're still gonna keep them coming in the off season. We got some cool ideas for that. So
Target Score bi-weekly.
Yeah,
Target Score monthly.
Yeah, sure.
Target Score every 6 weekly.
Yeah, there you go. That's a nice ring to it. That works for me.
Right?
So,
yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be good, though.
Total rebrand. But yeah, thank you so much so far. We will be back next week. Hopefully with a preview to championship weekend that involves the Sea Bears. But either way, we will be previewing championship weekend. Again, Sea Bears playing 8:00 on Friday, the second part of a doubleheader. The Eastern play-in game will go first. All the games from here on in are on TSN television as well as TSN Plus and the CEBL app. So you have no excuse to miss it. If you're at the lake, you can still catch it on TV. So that'll be a good thing. And if they win the game on Friday, they will play again Sunday. I can't remember the time or if they even determined the time for the Sunday game. But I imagine it'll be Sunday night, probably around the same time. So we'll let you know on Twitter and Instagram and all that. Taylor Allen 31, Joey Slattery CTV for me. So follow along there if you're not already. Enjoy the game Friday. Taylor, you and I will be there. I'm looking forward to it. And, yeah, we'll see you next week, pal.
Actually, before we go, Joey, we go.
I had the salute ready.
I know you have the salute ready.
Put her back. Put her back in the...
Let's share our prediction for Friday.
Okay.
I've been pretty vocal that I think the Bears are losing. But let's put our chips down. Let's say a score. What do we got here? So I'll put you on the spot. Joey, what's your prediction for Friday? What's the score?
Okay.
Let's give David Asper something else to
to roast
bug us for getting wrong. So let's double down here.
Okay, I think this one's going to be slightly lower. I think it's going to be 80. Target score will be 89. And I'm going to say Sea Bears go 89 to 87. It's going to be a next basket wins.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
Going tight.
Okay. So
Yours?
thanks a lot. Now I got to be the bad guy, the one guy.
That's
predicting
why I did it.
A loss
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
I'm the heel. I'm the bad guy over here. Mr. Babyface Joey Slattery. High five in the crowd as he's walking down the aisle. Or
I'm Bret Hart. You're Mr. Perfect in this one.
I do love Mr. Perfect.
I know
so
you do.
I'm okay with that reference. Spit out the gum, smack it away. He's one of the goats. But my prediction, like I said, I don't think the Bears are going to pull it off. So I got Edmonton prevailing 91 to 80. 91 to 80. Edmonton victory.
Honestly, that's on par with how they've beaten them. So, historically
Kinda what I'm
speaking,
thinking.
sorry, I have a misfit in my mouth. Remember, Jolly Rancher, get at them, get them on our show.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think historically speaking, you're playing the odds pretty well here. That's usually how it goes with Edmonton's and Winnipeg. But playoffs, a whole new season, Taylor Allen. Playoffs are where heroes are made. The AJ Hesses, this is where they make their name. You forget the whole season if you have a playoff run, right? Michael Okafor, go off, man. Playoff hero. This is your chance.
There you go. So you can
Been
do
a
your
pleasure,
salute
Taylor.
now.
All right, been a pleasure. See you next week.
Thank you for listening to the Target Score Weekly podcast. To stay up to date with Winnipeg Sea Bears and CEBL news, as well as future episode releases, follow Joey and Taylor on Twitter and Instagram at TaylorAllen31 and at Joey Slattery CTV. And wherever you're getting the podcast, be sure to subscribe to never miss an episode.